Greetings and welcome to another edition of Pipe Smoking with Colonel Calabash. I'd like to start out this program, at least this time, with our salute to the Facebook pipe site. This time we're saluting the Brothers of the Briar official. Now this site has just over 4,800 members, so it's not all that small of a site. And like most Facebook pipe sites, it's got a lot of great members with lots of great pipes and information. This group has also got a beautiful t-shirt that's for sale, and you can go to their site and you'll see it there in a pinned post at the top of the page. Also, there's a gentleman there, and I don't usually advertise for a person in particular, so I'm advertising, I guess, for a person that belongs to this group, and he belongs to other groups too. His name is Val Shanahan. Val is a master at having some very, very nice, clean pipes that he puts up for sale, and he does post the price for them. And a lot of times you'll find those prices are better than what you could get the same pipe for on eBay. So you might want to give old Val a look at some of the pipes he has for sale. This week we're going to talk about a very, very important part of pipe smoking. That's keeping your pipe clean and in good shape. To do this, you have to have some tools. Now, these tools are not expensive, so therefore there's no excuse for not keeping your pipe clean. Let's first talk about some everyday tools that you have to enjoy pipe smoking. Now, first of all, the big thing is you got to have a way to light that pipe. Now, a lot of people stick strictly to matches. There is nothing wrong with matches. They are a great way to light a pipe. The only suggestion I have is when you strike that match, and it does need to be a wooden match, by the way, let it burn long enough to get the sulfur off of it, or it'll give it a little bit of sulfur taste when it lights. So matches are a recommended way. Now, let's talk about lighters. It's not so much of a cleaning method, it's just a way to smoke a pipe. And lighters, you need to choose carefully. Personally, I only recommend one of three types of lighters: a butane lighter or a Zippo lighter, and of course, as I mentioned already, the matches. I never suggest a jet flame lighter. It does carry the butane fuel, but the flame from that jet flame lighter is extremely hot. First of all, you're in danger of damaging the side of your pipe on top of the bowl there. Also, if you use a jet flame lighter, you're starting out your smoking experience with a hotter heat than you would have from a soft flame lighter. So if you want to use the butane, make sure you get a soft flame lighter, and they make special soft flame lighters that are for pipes, so I kindly suggest those too. I also suggest maybe a Zippo lighter. Now, you can get a Zippo now that burns the regular fuel, or they do have an insert that you can put in that will burn butane. Now, whether you want to use the butane insert or the regular fuel insert, one of the differences in the pipe lighters is the shroud around the wick or flame on the lighter. And this is different whether you use the butane or whether you use regular fluid. The shroud has a hole in the sides of it where you kind of hold the Zippo lighter or whatever on above the bowl, and the hole allows the flame to go down and light the pipe as you draw on the pipe. So you have several choices on a light for your pipe. Now, here is another important thing, and it's also a safety thing. Buy some type of a tamper. I know a lot of people, they won't stick their finger down in the bowl, and guess who else does that? I do. But it's best to have some type of a tamper that you can press the tobacco in as it burns. Here again, like lighters, tampers are your choice. You can have a tamper that's anything from a bolt or a nail to tamp your tobacco down in, or you can purchase items that are specifically for tamping tobacco down. Some are not expensive, some are a little bit higher. For instance, the check pipe tool. It's a good economical version of a tamper. It has the tamper, the pick, and a scraper in it. Folds up into a nice package and is extremely economical. There are other tampers that are a little fancier. Sometimes you're looking at $20 to $30 for one of those, and probably there's some that go higher than that, but I'm cheap, so I stick to about $20 for mine. Also, getting back to something on lighters, you will find that there are some very nice lighters. I have two of them. And the pipe tamping and pick and scraper tools are built into the side of the lighter. Very handy, because if you've got your lighter with you, you've got your tools with you, and that really helps. Now, these usually start out at somewhere around $15 to $20. There is one thing that I will tell you about the lighters that have the tools built in. They will not hold quite as much fuel as maybe another butane lighter, simply because that part of the structure is where the tools are built in and they fold out and everything. So the reservoir for the butane is not quite as big as they are on some other butane lighters. You may have to refuel a little more often. The next thing we're going to talk about is another everyday accessory you need for pipe smoking, and in my own mind, one of the most important. I am referring to the lowly pipe cleaner. Pipe cleaners are one of the most important things that you can buy. Now, there are a couple of different types of pipe cleaners. Well, in fact, there's probably more than a couple, but there are soft bristle pipe cleaners. They have a little nylon bristle in there that helps to clean the stem and the bowl, and I do recommend using them some. There are also regular pipe cleaners that are just used for swabbing out a stem or a shank on the pipe, and you need a few of both of those. Now, here's something that at one time I was sorely guilty of doing, and I've quit. You can go to the craft center at your local hobby store or whatever, and you can buy pipe cleaners that are used to make different things out of in the crafts department. Because of how cheap they were, I bought them for a long time, and they're long pipe cleaners, so I would cut them in half, and I was saving money on pipe cleaners. Here's why you should not do that, and I have quit. Those pipe cleaners are not as well made as regular pipe cleaners. And if you use one to clean out a stem or clean out a shank, it might work and it might not. And here's why. some of the fuzzy material on that pipe cleaner could get lodged in your stem or in the shank of your pipe, and then you're going to have to go in there and get that out somehow, which is not that big a deal. It's not that hard. But to me, the money you save on using those types of pipe cleaners is just not worth the risk. Get some good pipe cleaners that you want to use to clean your pipe. Now, here's some things that you may not use on a daily basis, but it's still good to have them to keep your pipes in great shape. First of all, let's start out with a pipe reamer. The cake in a pipe should never exceed the thickness of a nickel. If you look on the inside of your pipe bowl and that cake is built up away from the wall over the thickness of a nickel, you need to be hunting up a reamer somewhere and cut it back down. Now, there's numerous reamers out there, and I'm not going to say one is better than the other, but they do have some different characteristics in the way they're used. The one I use the most is often referred to as the Scotty or the senior reamer. It's adjustable. You just twist a little dial on there and you can enlarge or lower the size of the reamer blades on it. These work real well. They are a little higher than some reamers. They'll run you anywhere from $15 to $30 depending on where you get one at. One of the good things about this type of reamer is it has a shank drill built into the end of it. You unscrew it and pull it out, and if your shank is getting a little bit sopped up, you can just put that in there and twist it, and it'll clean it right out. So it does a real good job. There's another reamer that's called a Dunhill reamer. It's very simple, works well, and is not too expensive. One of the best known of the pipe reamers is called a British Buntner. Here again, this is an adjustable reamer. Actually, the end of it kind of looks like a pair of scissors or something, and you push the handle down or in to enlarge or make the blades on it smaller. They are relatively inexpensive, and they do a wonderful job. And here it comes, folks, the big if. These reamers are being copied now, and they're coming from China. And trust me, I have one of them, and it makes an excellent paperweight, or maybe you could tie it onto your fishing line for a sinker, but as far as reaming a pipe, it's garbage. First of all, the handle that pushes up and down and adjusts the size of the reamer blades easily gets stuck, and then you can adjust it. It does not cut as well. The ones that are from China are usually silver. There are, though, some other groups of them that are well built that do not come from China. But if you really, really want the good one, try to find one that's black. The blades are sharper, it adjusts better, and it's just a better Buntner reamer if you can find one of the black ones, because they are good. When you're using a reamer to ream the bowl out, I always suggest to try not to go back to the actual wood. Leave you a carbon cake in there that's a reasonable thickness so you don't have to, in essence, break that pipe back in. Another thing that, here again, you don't maybe use on a daily basis, but you need to have around is cleaning solutions, stem polish, bowl polish. A good, strong alcoholic liquid to clean the inside of the rims of the bowl and also the insides of the stems, shanks, and other areas. Try not to get these on the finish of the bowl as it may harm that finish somehow. Personally, I use a bottle of Everclear, and I'll tell you a little story about that before we leave. You can use most any alcoholic beverage to do the cleaning on your pipes in the stem, shanks, and bowls. I keep all of my pipe tools that I don't use on a daily basis in a small plastic container. It's a little lockbox, and it has the little plastic partitions in it that I can keep things separated, and that way I know where my cleaning tools are. Okay, now I'm going to cover something, and I really, really need you to understand that this is my method. It works, and whether you use it or not is up to you. Every once in a while, we do the old thing of breaking a stem somehow. I have looked at numerous Facebook pipe sites where the question comes up on removing the tenon from the pipe shank. So, what I'm about to say here is the way I do it. Probably somebody else has another way, maybe even a better way, I don't know. But this is simply the way that I do that. If I have a stem that breaks and I need to pull the tenon out, I get a screw that's just a little bit larger than the air hole in that tenon, and I gently screw it in there and pull it out. You can pull that tenon out then. Sometimes, if the tenon is really tight in there, you have to screw that in there and put a pair of pliers on the head of that screw, and then you can pull it out that way. This has always worked for me. It's never failed. I've never cracked a shank doing it, and I really like trying to do it. Now, here again, if you're going to have to send that pipe off to get a new stem put in it, don't bother with pulling that one out. Just send it in and they'll pull it out. But I replace a lot of my own stems, and this is the way that I pull the tenon out. The next thing I want to talk about, I kind of casually mentioned on another show, but I want to cover it again. And some people kind of object to this, but, I don't. I use this. After repeated use around the top of your bowl, you will get a black residue. And sometimes it builds up before you do anything with it, and sometimes if you keep them clean, you can easily remove it. Whether it's built up or whether it's easily removed, I use the same method. It's simple. It's very economical, believe me. But get you a paper towel or a soft rag and moisten the end of your finger with a little saliva. Rub that on top of the bowl, let it set for just a second, and then wipe it off with a towel. The enzymes in the saliva will remove those dark colors from the top of your pipe bowl. It may take more than one time. You may have to do it several times, but it will take it off. I also keep maybe an odd item around to work on pipes with, a paper clip. Now, there's two reasons behind this. First of all, I have seen shanks that were so stopped up that you really could not get a pick in them. So I unfold a paper clip and run it down there first to kind of open it up just a little bit, and then I finish it off with the shank pick, and that will clear your shank, and it'll be open again and doing fine. There is a thing called the ultimate pipe sweetening method. This is a way to clean your pipe bowl and get all of the cleaning that you could possibly do to it in one step, or at least one method. The first thing you need to do is to remove the stem from your pipe and run a pipe cleaner in the shank up to the edge of the air opening in the bowl. This is really used as a cork or a block to the shank of the pipe. Fill the bowl of the pipe with kosher salt. Now, if the cake is very thick, I would suggest you ream it some before you do this. But put the kosher salt in the bowl and put in a few drops of some type of alcoholic liquor. Now, this could be the Everclear, it can be anything. I do suggest that you use a clear alcoholic liquid so that you can see the results of what takes place after it's done. But after putting the salt in the bowl, put in a few drops of the alcoholic beverage and set it in an upright position for overnight. About 24 hours is the max. Do not leave this in there more than 24 hours. And the reason is that between the salt and the alcohol, it will draw out all the ghosting and sourness from your pipe bowl, but it could dry it to the point of the bowl cracking. So remember, 24 hours is the maximum that I would suggest you use this. Now, I'm going to give a guy a free plug here because he has such a great video on this method. It's on YouTube, and his account is called Tea and Tobacco. That's TEA, a quotation mark, N, another quotation mark, and then tobacco. He has a YouTube video showing exactly how to do this, and he's got it down right, too. Let's face it, keeping your pipe clean will give you a lot more enjoyment, and it will make your pipe last longer. Also, it might keep you out of trouble with your wife or girlfriend. Case in point was my grandfather. Granddad smoked a pipe, but he only owned about 2 at a time, and he always smoked a corncob pipe. So when he got through smoking the pipe, he would usually knock the dottle out of the pipe, but he would lay it up in the window of the house, and this was years ago. Granddad and Granny didn't have no air conditioner in that house. So he would lay the pipe up in the windowsill with the window open during warm weather, and that window was right next to Granny's favorite chair. And it has been more than one time when I was visiting Granny and Granddad that she was on to him about getting that stinking pipe out of her window. So it might save you some problems by keeping your pipe clean, too. That's about it for this week. I know this was a little longer than some of them are, but there's a lot to be said for keeping your pipe clean. I will say one thing before I leave. Next week, when we do pipe smoking with Colonel Calabash, I am going to get into an area that I have avoided like the plague. I did not want to get into this, but As of late, I have received some information, and I think it's important that we discuss it and talk about it. So next week, yes, we're going to get into pipe smoking and politics. This is not an argument about politics. This is simply some information that I believe you as a pipe smoker need about what's going on in the political realm as relates to pipe smoking. Again, we appreciate you coming to visit us this time, and until next week, happy pipe smoking.